Immigrants have always been the lifeblood of Chicago. In 1870, Holland Presbyterian Church founded Erie Neighborhood House to serve the needs of low-income immigrant families. It's a ministry that's just as important today. For more, let's welcome Josh Folger, Erie House's Director of Expanded Learning Programs. We also welcome Hector Estrada, a science instructor at Erie House, and Jessica Arias, who participates in Erie's youth programs and is a junior at Rauner College Prep. Can you tell us a little bit about why the Presbyterian Church originally started Erie Neighborhood House?
Yeah, I think the needs of immigrants are kind of unique. Coming to a new country, not necessarily knowing the language and not really knowing where to start. They don't have a whole bunch of social capital. So I think Erie House was started in order to serve the immigrant community and help them kind of get on their feet in their new country and find a clean start.
What do you think has changed since it was started between then and now, and what's the same?
Yeah, I think oddly enough, a lot of the needs are still the same. I think immigrants come to the United States looking for a better life for their families. So Erie House has always helped the families find housing and good jobs and take care of their kids, help them learn the language, and help them kind of get on their feet and start their life here. So I think a lot of those needs have remained the same. Those are still the same services Erie House has provided. The countries the people are coming from, the families are coming from, those have changed. Mm-hmm. A lot of European countries, German and Italian, Irish, English, and more recently the families are from Central and South America. So.
Great. Can you share with us a little bit about the programs that you're involved in?
At Erie Neighborhood House, I'm involved in the Youth Options Unlimited program. I am one of the instructors for the Sciences for Tomorrow programming with Columbia College. Also, the After School Matters programming offered at Erie Neighborhood House Science, Innovation, and Me.
And do you want to tell us a little bit about more of what you've participated in?
Since freshman year, basically, I've started going to ASM, After School Matters. It was a great experience. It helped me have a better view of how I want to flourish more into science and STEM. I've been to INOMA where it had a great impact for Erie House because we had we had renovation for Erie House, and we had improvements of nowadays more new Erie basically. I also go to team after school on Wednesdays.
What was it about the programming that made you really interested in pursuing STEM or in the architecture? Do you think there was anything about that programming that's different from programming that you've done elsewhere, or just something that really comes to mind as what you've enjoyed about it?
Well, it helped me have a better view, messing around with science topics and architecture, and have get to know what's going to happen in the near future if I really want to be inspired to go through this career.
Okay, interesting.
Jessica's being very modest. There's a brand new mural that is put up on the YOU wall that Jessica came up with all the concepts for. And then her and a lot of the other youth worked with an artist to actually bring those ideas to life and put them up on the wall. And that was based on her ideas and her explanations of what she thought Erie House represented.
Hector, can you tell us a little bit about, from an instructor's point of view, what you do to keep kids engaged and get them excited about new topics?
When we would go over chemistry, which is one of the concrete sciences that's very complicated to understand, kind of has a lot of rules and different directions that you could go with it, what helped me teach the students was giving them hands-on experience, not only teaching them and showing examples, but having them sit down, do it, help themselves out. When I would see a student was having trouble, I would spend one-on-one time with them to explain the information a bit more. And the more exercises and the more hands-on experience they had, the better that they were at the specific subject or topic matter.
So can you share an example of how you would make it more hands-on?
With the second part of the After School Matters programming, the Science, Innovation, and Me, we started in the beginning to focus on chemistry. So we could move on to forensic science, which has a lot of chemistry principles attached to it, and therefore we have to cover chemistry before we could cover forensic science. And when we would discuss forensic science, it wasn't just, here's a PowerPoint and take notes. It was, here's a PowerPoint on that information, and let's go out and do it. We dusted for fingerprints. We made footprint castings and analyzed the different footprints. We discussed how the forensic science field has changed from when it started to now what it is now, and gave them practical uses for the information, not just here's this information, but here's this information and this is how you can use it.
So you had a mock crime scene that you had the kids go explore.
Yes, our final project was based on all the principles that they learned in the forensic science portion, along with testing their analyzing skills. There was a mock crime scene that I created where I would hide evidence, and even though I knew what happened, the kids had to figure it out for themselves. So they would go in groups of 3 or 4. They would have 6 minutes to walk around the room, pick up evidence, dust for fingerprints, and after those 6 minutes, they would have 2 minutes to create their hypothesis of what happened, and then I would go in and we would talk about what they think happened, and with the information and the evidence that they found, to come up with a conclusion.
That sounds really, really fun for kids to get to explore and put their knowledge into practice. You know, I'm wondering about that, the changes from 1870. I don't know that they would have had that type of a class, science classes back then. What are you trying to do with incorporating more of the science and STEM into the curriculum?
Yeah, so we've been really focusing on the STEM field since about 2010, 2011. Really not only focusing on building the aptitude of the students in the sciences, but also increasing or improving their attitude rather towards the STEM fields. So I think Jessica talked a little bit about how her view of the sciences and the STEM fields is a lot more positive now. And Hector talked about getting the kids interested, and it's really about engaging them in the sciences, but then also increasing their aptitude. That's the fastest growing employment field is the STEM field. So getting the students more geared to that, and not only knowing more about it, but enjoying it more and wanting to look towards that for their fields just puts them in a better position when they do go on from high school and go to college, looking towards fields that are very, very employable these days.
Jessica, tell me a little bit about what you might be interested in doing in the future.
I've been thinking of being a psychologist or a neurologist, and reasons why is because it's semester, and in the summer I've taken Science, Innovation, and Me. We learn more about how the mind is controlled and how it works out, and how people have like different reactions, and it kind of took me into interest of like how the brain could like function and work as like different personalities as well.
And I know the organization was started by a church. How are churches still involved today? How can other churches help? Yeah,
so the Presbyterian Church was the starter of Erie House, so they've been our longest supporter. They still do support us. They support us in a few different ways. They support us with funding, of course, but they also support us through volunteerism. And they support us on our board, and then they also support us a lot during the holiday season. We have an event called Holiday with Hearts, which allows our families to get gifts for their kids that they might otherwise not be able to afford around Christmas time. So they support with that through volunteers coming to serve breakfast to the participants, but also donating gifts. And then the program that Jessica mentioned, the team program, recruits or retains 100 volunteers annually, where those adults work with a young person one-on-one and really get a chance to dig in, work on their homework, help them with issues going on in their lives. And so there's a lot of different ways to get involved, and that's just in the YOU. There's other ways to get involved with the younger kids, and those kind of opportunities are always open.
You also have a dinner coming up. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so every year Erie House has an annual dinner. This year it's on March 1st, 2018. And it's a really a way to raise awareness about the work that Erie House is doing, the fantastic work they're doing every year, and also to raise money for the organization to operate on an annual basis.
Well, thank you, Josh, Hector, and Jessica for joining us today. I'm Liz Dunn for Different Drummers and the Greater Chicago Broadcast Ministries. Keep the faith.